my childhood, which is I'm one of 9 kids, and I'm from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and my father was just a tavern owner. And so we had this real problem, and there's so much psychology around what happens with choosing the costume and the effect it has on the child, whether you're choosing them as a superhero, or are they a Powerpuff Girl, or are they, you know, some other inanimate object. And so we had a real struggle because we didn't trick or treat in the way that everybody else trick or treated. So when you have 9 kids and your father owns a tavern, you trick or treat around the customers that have been drinking all day. And so what you do is, and you just assume that everybody else trick or treats the way you do. And so what we would do is we lived above the bar, of course, and it was this one compound, if you will. And so what would happen is we would have this competition with my dad, who was also a true tricker. And so my mom would get us all dressed up, and now there's 9 of us, and it's between the ages of like 1 and 18, so it's not like a big spread. And so we would be in the back, and we're like trying to, you know, it's low income, so we're in the rag barrel, and we're like putting together outfits that we're gonna wear. And what we would do is we would put these outfits on and come around to, now the bar opened at 9 a.m. so mind you, it was a true tavern. So we would come around through the front door and we would walk amongst the people that were in the bar. And so back then, the costumes were, I don't know if anybody remembers, but does anybody remember Budman?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was Budman, and that was one of our costumes. Mighty Malt was one of the other costumes. So we were like beer superheroes. And so I'm waiting for the impact. Like, I haven't gotten to this part with my therapist yet, so I haven't really told her that, you know, I was Budman and my sister was Mighty Malt. And so we would go around to the customers, and of course they would try to guess like which beer superhero we were. And of course they were totally lit, so you know, it wasn't a problem. But the reason that my mother didn't want us to go out trick-or-treating is because if she sent us out trick-or-treating, all of the customers would send all of their kids to our house to trick-or-treat, and she just did not want to deal with like 5,000 kids. She already had 9 of her own, and she didn't want to deal with another 5,000 that would be coming to trick-or-treat. So we had these like strangest costumes, and we would get to school in the morning, we'd be like, well, what were you? And they'd be like, well, I was like Superman, and I'd be like, oh, well, like I was Budman, and you know, like their parents would be like, don't talk to Sophia. It's just like she comes from a different kind of family. Just don't deal with her. So anyway, so that was our trick or treating. Then my father, of course, is this, you know, Archie Bunker, 6 foot, you know, stocky guy, completely bald. And so he had this local tavern where everybody would just kind of hang out from morning to night. And in those days, the local tavern there weren't TVs. And so how do you entertain and keep people at the tavern? How do you keep them interested? You can't gossip, because they're not gonna come back. And you can't like belittle anybody. So my father would come up with stuff to do to entertain them before TVs were a thing. So his favorite trick-or-treat would be, he would leave the bar, and it was very kind of hometown bar, so he would walk out of the bar and he'd say, I'm going in the back to check on the kids, and he'd say to all the people sitting at the bar, and they'd be like, okay, Al, it's great, you go in the back. So Al would go in the back, come out, he was completely bald, he would come out the side door, he'd put on a wig and an overcoat, he'd come in the front door, and then he'd sit down next to one of the other, you know, the other customers, and he'd be looking up and down the bar, and he'd be going, Jesus Christ, like, where's the guy? I need a beer. Where's the guy that works here? And they go, no, Al, you know, of course these guys have been here all day, so they don't recognize him with this wig on. So anyway, so they're saying, no, Al's always here. He's always here. He's coming right back. He's just checking on those like 5,000 kids he's got in the back there. The good Catholic family that we were. I think we should have gotten HBO, or my parents should have gotten HBO, but nonetheless. So anyway, so they're looking up and down the aisle, and they're thinking like, So then my father's like, Jesus Christ, like, I really want a beer. And they're like, Al's coming right back. He's coming right back. And they'd be like, you know, any minute he's going to come back. So all in all, then my father would just get up and say, oh, Christ, forget it. And he'd go out the front door, and he'd come back around. He'd take the wig off. He'd take the overcoat off. He'd come back around to the customers, and they'd say, Al, where the hell were you? Like, this guy came in, this new guy, because they all know each other. So he'd say, this new guy's coming in, and he's waiting for a beer, and he left. And you didn't even, like, where were you? So the point of the story is that I'm waiting for the impact, the psychological impact of the fact that I was Budman, prompted by my father, who like adds into that with his wig and whatever the heck he's doing, and we are trick-or-treating in a bar with like, you know, 20 patrons who've been drinking all day. And so I'm just waiting to get to that chapter with my therapist. So we'll see what ends up happening.